back to the Anchored Media channel. My name is Tatum Ayomike. I am the CEO of Anchored Media and the executive producer. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss when we post another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about when is the right time to start a podcast. Now, of course, I'm going to say the time is now, first of all, because podcasting is such a rapidly growing industry. It's $1 billion industry at this point, and it's just going to continue to grow year after year as more advertisers start to see the value of these niche audiences and the influences that the hosts have over their audience. But even though the time is now, there are some things that you need to consider so that you're creating a show that is set up to make money and to make impact. So the first thing you need to know is, why are you starting this podcast? I joke all the time and say some of these podcasts need to stay in group chats because the idea was just not thought out. So I want you to really think out your podcast idea. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you have a message that you want to get to the masses? Are you doing this because you want to create a top of funnel marketing platform for your business? Are you doing this because you just want to bring a different idea or different messaging into the world? Why are you starting this podcast? You need to get very, very clear on why you're doing it, because that's going to sustain you and motivate you. Even in the beginning where listenership may not be where you want it to be, or those days you're tired, you don't feel like recording, you don't want to talk. I have those days many times, but that why is really going to sustain you. That mission is what's going to get you to that microphone every single time. Also, your audience a lot of times is going to tell you what they think that you should be doing. And that's the thing about building these brands online. We make ourselves susceptible to opinions and unsolicited feedback from other people. So you want to make sure that you're clear on why you're starting so that you can stay true to yourself even as your platform grows. Next, you need to know what problem you're solving. What gap are you filling in the podcasting space? This is a big one. A lot of shows find it hard to market or to make money because they didn't think through what made their show unique in the first place, and they didn't define what problem that they're solving before they started. And this is very important because you want your show to stand out. You want, when people are scrolling through the podcast app and trying to decide what they're going to listen to, you want them to click on your content. And you want them not only to click on your content, but you want them to connect with the subject matter and really buy into what you're saying, because that listener buy-in is what's going to allow you to be able to sell things. It's going to allow you to get people out of their homes. Is what's going to encourage people to pay some type of subscription if you want to do a subscription model, a Patreon or something like that. That listener buy-in is very important as it relates to monetization, and people buy into what solves their problems, what fills a need and a gap that they have. And that's something that you have to identify early on, so you're setting your show up for marketing success from day one. And lastly, you need to know who you're solving it for. Your podcast listener, you should know them like the back of your hand. The same way, if your best friend's birthday was coming up, you don't have to ask them what they want. You can go and pick out something and you'll know that they like it because you know them that well. It needs to be the same for your audience. You need to know what type of content to create, what type of subjects to speak on, what type of products to sell. It should be a no-brainer because you know your audience that well. And if you don't know your audience, now was a great time to do some research. So go into other podcasts that are similar to yours and read in the comments. If the audience is saying like, hey, we love this content, but it's too long, then that's some intel for you to say, well, let me make sure my show stays within 30 minutes or so, because the audience feedback or similar platforms are saying that the show is too long. Or if your audience is like, oh, this was great, I would love to, if I could watch this on the TV with my friends, that's something to take into consideration. Like, okay, well, let me make sure this podcast is also video so that I can appeal to this level of consumer behavior. So you can do competitor analysis to find out more about your audience. You can do research on different studies to learn more about just podcast listener behavior. They recently did, Edison Research recently did a Black podcast report, consumer report. And if you're someone who appeals to Black podcasters, that's a great resource for you to download and look to see what are Black podcast listeners' consumer behavior, and then cater your content towards that. So knowing your audience is so important. Reading your own reviews to see the feedback that you're getting. Engaging with your audience on social media or YouTube or any other platform that'll allow you to get to know them even better. You can also do surveys to your audience to see what they want. There's so many ways that you can go, but just make sure that you understand who your audience is from day one. If you cover those basics, I promise you, you're setting your podcast up for success. And if you need help with that, because I know that was a lot, of course, go to anchormedia.com/open house to learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we help you make sure you're achieving your podcast goals. So that's it for this video. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss when we post another video. I'll see you in the next one.